Hello, Sherrell. Welcome to the Happy Healthy Caregiver podcast.
Hi, Elizabeth. How are you?
Good. Great to see you again. I'm so excited that this worked out and that we can have this great conversation together. Um, we always start our shows off with some words of wisdom and some inspiration from the Happy Healthy Caregiver jar. And I just realized I don't have the jar in reach, but imagine that I'm opening it up. And I wanted to get your thoughts on today's quote. It's from Maya Angelou, and she said, "Try to be the rainbow in someone else's cloud."
And what does that mean? Oh my goodness. That can mean a multiple of things. Number one, a rainbow, as we know, is colorful, right? So always be shining, always be bright. Colors are bright. You got the rainbow colors, red, orange, purple, blue, green, right? So with all of those colors, you are shining bright. So always come with a bright inspiration, always to come and uplift someone else. That's where I'm at. I'm all about uplifting, encouraging, and just doing the best that I can with people.
I know it's
Absolutely.
good. It doesn't mean that we don't have our cloudy days and stuff, but there's another saying that says, "Be a fountain, not a drain," and I try to
Sure.
be mindful of that. Like there's people that I definitely can vent to and whatever, and they'll kind of be like, "All right, Elizabeth, you're done with that, move on and take action," which I think is really how we try to get ourselves out of this cloudy days. Is like, we can be in a cloudy day for a little bit, but eventually we got to be working towards the sunshine, and that
Absolutely.
ultimately the rainbow is even better.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, you like, caregiving never escapes you, Sherrell. You are a professional caregiver, registered nurse for 20 years, and you care for your mom. You also cared for your fiance. Tell us more about your family caregiving experience in particular.
Sure. Wonderful. So, in my younger years, at the tender age of 11, I experienced my dad having a alcohol-induced seizure. So this is
Mm.
what it's all came about from, right? At 11 years old, you don't know anything about no seizure, nothing, right? So I'm just thinking, oh my goodness. So from there, guess what? That left an imprint on my heart to see my dad having a seizure. I didn't know it was alcohol induced at the time. I'm 11 years young. But as I progressed through life and did reading and understood what was going on, that's exactly what it was.
How
Alcohol induced.
terrifying for you. That's
It
so
was
young.
it was very terrifying because he will have this aura where he will holler out, right? It wasn't just me in the home, it was me and my siblings, my mother. And so, yes, it was very terrifying. It was very scary. We did the best we could with them, but nevertheless, that left an imprint and almost like traumatized me, right? To the point where I ended up going to nursing school and becoming a registered nurse after all of that. So, this is where the whole gamut of the registered nurse and getting into the healthcare field came from. The fundamentals of what happened to my dad and
Mm.
how it left an imprint on my heart to become even more passionate, right, about taking care of people. And that's where everything started at the tender age of 11 years young. And
Mm.
here we are, fast forward over 20 plus years later. I just stopped counting after 20. And here we are 20 plus years later, and my passion is even more. It's even more now. This is where all of this came from: caregiving, taking care of my loved ones. Like you said, my fiance, who unfortunately passed away from stage 4 stomach cancer. And then my mom and my stepdad, I just kind of like helped them. They still get around good, but I managed their medications and things like that. So they can
Mm.
understand why they're taking what they're taking, and for them to be proactive in their care and always educating and teaching, because you won't know why you're taking what you're taking. The doctor, a lot of times, they just say, oh, go ahead, take this. They'll give you a brief name of the medication, what it's for, and that's it.
I mean,
And
it's a
so,
good point, right? We have to be advocating for ourselves and for others. But you slid by the fiance thing. I'm sure, that had to have been traumatic as well. Like, here you are planning your life with someone and having a future together, and then he had, what, did he have cancer? I can't remember what.
yes,
Yes, and it
stage
can up
four.
it uprooted your plans for where you thought your life was going to be. So you've definitely have made something shine out of something that can, not necessarily be a positive experience, losing a loved one like that, and
Mm,
taking it and making something powerful out of it. So I commend you for that.
thank you. And it
I'm sure it didn't
absolutely
happen
was.
overnight. Like what was that
Oh, girl.
process like where you were like, I gotta do something with this? Like,
Yes, absolutely, Liz. That is so good you asked that question because absolutely, that's exactly what I did. So he was diagnosed with stage 4. Just to give you a brief synopsis, he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, stomach cancer,
mm,
in July of 2013. That he lived maybe a year and a half after that. I'm just fast forwarding because of time's sake. But yes, he was diagnosed stage 4 stomach cancer. uh, they had put him on hospice a year, about 18 months later. Why? Because it had spread.
aw.
We went through all of this, of all of the chemo, all of the, I say we, because it was a we thing, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, they get a diagnosis, you get a diagnosis as the caregiver. It's different. It's a different diagnosis, but it has completely changed the trajectory of your life.
It absolutely did. It absolutely did. I came
Mm,
to a streaking halt, right? Mind you, I was a registered nurse working 12 hours 3 times a week. And then this happened. Of course, I went to the chemo and radiation therapy with them. That was part of the plan. And after all of that MRI, radiation, chemotherapy, going back get another CAT scan, he was diagnosed with metastasis of the stomach cancer into his lymph nodes. And you know what? I knew right then, I knew once they said metastasis,
you are
it was a
focusing more
matter,
on the comfort care at that point. Yeah.
absolutely, because I had
Mm.
specialized, I did oncology nursing and palliative care as well. In my past experience with nursing. And so I already knew when they said metastasis, I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So that was another blow. And then from there, fast forward, we took him home. He was on hospice care. Things happened in between. And then from there, he ended up expiring. He expired in 2017, 11
Mm.
19 2017.
I'm
And
so
so from
sorry, Sherelle. What That's a lot. It's a lot. You've taken this, like, as we said, and now you call yourself an evangelist and you say that others refer to you as the queen of empowering caregivers. How did you get these nicknames?
girl, I'm always, listen, I told I'm always uplifting and empowering people to be the best that they can be. Listen, you have to wake up every day and know who you are, right? Not just being a caregiver, but know who you are. I am affirmation. I am powerful. I am dynamic. I am wonderful. I am the queen of empowering caregiver. I am, right? So once you affirm your day, then you can go ahead on and do what you need to do throughout the day. And so the queen of empowering caregivers, it's only fitting.
Yeah. Well, I love that you start your day with these mantras. Do you look in the mirror as you're saying them? Do
I
you?
absolutely do. Or I
Yeah.
just walk around the house and just say them because they embedded, right? They're in my heart now. They're in my spirit. So I'm just waking up. I'm just rattling them off. I am powerful. I am wonderful. I am beautiful. I am who God says I am. I am the apple of God's eye. All of these things is rambling off because they are where? In my heart, in my spirit.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to say it every morning. And I love it. And so with the nicknames, it's only fitting. When you've been in the business for a while, you just become a mantra of different things, right? You wear different hats. So yes,
Well, and I'm
that's me.
sure all the family caregivers that you interact with are
Mm,
need this. A lot of them I know struggle with the I am not enough. And
sure.
you're there to remind them and put the mirror in front of them and say, "Oh, you are enough. You're way more than enough. And let me tell you all the ways."
Yes. And that is something that you just said that because people, we go through life and we understand that everything is not going to be a bed of roses. But in everything that we do, absolutely affirm who you are. I went through that. You think when he passed away, I didn't feel some kind of way? Yes, I did. Let me put an explanation point right there because when this happened, this wasn't like something I just bounced right back. It took me almost 2 years to bounce back. So 2 years, 18 to 2 years, that was a long time. I just took a FEMLA. I took off from work. I didn't even work. I didn't do anything. I just felt into this dark place, right?
Yes, yes. Family
Because
Medical Leave Act, I know you mentioned that. Well, what were some of the other key components in that 2-year things, like when you look back on it now, Sherelle, and you're like, because if someone's listening to this and they're burned out and they're like, "Oh, how did she do it?" She lost her fiance. What
hmm
were some of the key things that you did in that time frame to kind of, you know, be now at this point of a queen of empowering caregivers?
yes. How did Miss Sherrell do it? Let me tell you, it was not easy, but I took myself by the bootstraps, right? I just sat in the chair one day and I said, you know what? This is enough of this. This is enough. And I just heard the Holy Spirit just come down on me and just told me, that's enough. You have to come out of this slumber, daughter. You have a story to share with the people. I didn't just go through this to go through this. And everything that we do, what did you learn from it? So here are the components that helped me, my successful survival tips. Number one, I stayed anchored in the Bible.
Mm.
Everybody, they have a God, whatever your God is, listen, stay with them, do what you need to do. And I read the word, listen, I have the word on the inside of me. I'm an evangelist, a minister, a word of the Bible. I stayed with the Bible, number one. Number two, I had to be patient with myself. Patience with yourself. This is not a marathon. You know what I'm saying? We have to take our time with this. And guess what? Those 5, 6 stages of grief that Kessler talk about, Gary Kessler talk about, they are real. I went through all of those stages, but guess what? You want the stages to be healthy stages, right? You want to go through a healthy denial, a healthy depression, a healthy acceptance. You want it to be a healthy phase. The thing is, it may take you time, right? Some people get stuck in the depression.
Mm.
Let's just talk about that for a minute because depression is normal. But when it comes to being months and months and years of being like this, now we have some issue. You must seek a professional help. You have to seek
Yes.
professional help because now you're trying to do it on your own and it's not working. So what do? Seek professional help. And then also with that stage, number one, like I said, was the Bible. Number two, patience. Number three, self-care.
Mm.
Even self-care come before the patience. I had to get myself back in that alignment, if you will, with the word of God and with my self-care. I just see
Mm.
myself just getting raggedy and just looking crazy. I mean, literally, not looking all made up, baby. I'm talking my eyes puffy, hair everywhere. I just felt that dark cloud, right? That cloud of depression coming over me. And I knew then I had to do something.
Do you
You
think
remember?
even those little things like, showering and doing your hair and your makeup, like almost like presented on the outside till you start to kind of feel it. Now we're talking about clinical depression, like that is you got to go
Sure.
and get some help for that. But if you're in this cloudy day funk, um, and
And
you're
that may
working
be
on that, what were your baby steps that you took?
the number one baby steps was just be quiet and just self-care. Just
Yes.
self-care. Taking care of yourself. And I'm gonna tell you something. It was like you just said, it was a funk just to get up out the bed. It was like that cloud just come over you all of a sudden, and you just feeling like, oh my goodness, I cannot get up, I can't do my hair, I can't do nothing. And you just find yourself just crying, crying. Those are definitely clinical signs that you need to seek professional help.
Right.
And I did.
Good.
I went and talked to a counselor. I just talked to someone. I didn't do any medication, but I did just talking through it was a healing process for me. And anyone else's case, those is listening in this audience, what I went through might not be what you're going through. However, there is a common denominator, and that is the 5 stages of grief.
Mm. And they're not necessarily linear. You can ping pong back and forth to different
Sure.
stages. And, you think you're through the anger, and then all of a sudden, darn it, that anger comes back
Yes.
up or whatever. and I appreciate you talking about your spiritual journey too, because that provided a lot of comfort for you, and that provides a lot of comfort for a
Yes.
lot of people to spend time in the Word and to do those things is healing.
Yeah, just take
Whatever
your
your
time with
higher
it.
power is, whatever it
Yes.
is.
And
Yes.
just take your time and know that that's why I say no, another one, just be patient with yourself. I took off work. I wasn't trying to get back to work. That was not on my mind. I had nothing to do with, I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going back to work till I feel like it. And then once I did feel like it, yes, I'm back to work. I'm back to myself. However, this is where the book came out. I will wait until morning. Okay.
Yes. Tell us about your book. It's a memoir that you wrote. What are you
Yes.
hoping that people are going to take away from your book if they pick that up? And I'll link to it, of course, in the show notes.
Sure. Absolutely. One thing they need to get from once they read it, it's a short read, easy read. Just read it and understand that this is a process and take away the tips. Take away the tips in the book. Everyone is going through something differently. Everyone process trauma differently. However, the common denominator is that we're feeling some kind of way and it's not a healthy way.
Mm.
And definitely do the tips in my book or even your own tips. You may have your own way of coming out of this. Those are the successful survival tips that work for me. And hopefully they will work for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this podcast is all about, right? Is like showcasing and spotlighting different family caregivers because they are the experts in
Yes,
caregiving. And then what can we extract from that? What lessons learned? What caregiving tips? What self-care tips? Because I don't necessarily want, my way is one way, Sherrell's
sure.
way is one way, but we've got so many different folks that maybe they'll take something away from every episode that they can glean. Well, you're also a speaker and a founder of the Global Caregivers Network. What is the purpose of your Global Caregivers Network?
The purpose of the Global Caregivers Network is a network exclusively for professional and family caregivers. It's a private cohort on Facebook where the people can come in, we come together, we can pray together, we have resources together. You get sometimes you put out edifying or encouraging quote for the day.
Hmm.
It's just a place where you can come in and sit. It's an online. I'm gonna start doing chat rooms so we can actually come in and sit and chat with one another. That's something else I'm looking into for this year. That'll be starting new because that is a private cohort. Because initially when I started, a lot of times people they don't want to share everything that's going on with them, right? So that was made private. And then not even 6 months later, the global caregiver speakers come along on December 25th, 2021. And this is the thing, we understand the privacy, but this is why the global caregiver speakers came out, because you do have those that want to come and share their story, their caregiving experience. So this is where the GCS come in at the speakers platform. It's for all of
Oh.
those. It's so many that want to share their story. I haven't even got to the brink. I haven't even broken the ceiling on this thing. It's so many that want to share their story. And I'm glad you giving me an advocate way that I can share this with the people so they can come to the platform and share their story.
Yeah, I mean, a good point. Right? Different strokes for different folks. So we'll list out the Facebook group if folks want to get into there. We'll also link to the Global Caregivers Speakers, Global Caregivers Network, because there are people, it can be very healing to share your story.
Yes.
And it can kind of, when you look back and you say, well, this was not all for naught. Like maybe I don't have all the answers, but I can
Mhm.
reach back and I can pull somebody up and help them in some
Sure.
small way, which is also why I encourage people to seek some kind of caregiver support. It's like it's not
Yes.
necessarily about the support you receive, but the support that you also give, and how great that can feel to make someone's day a little bit more sunnier, to keep going on that weather analogy. Well, what kind of upcoming events do you have? An upcoming virtual event for
Sure.
global caregiver speakers?
Absolutely. We have the For the Love of Caregiving. It's a summit 2023. This is going to be our April edition. It's going to be on April 8th. It's a one-day event. One day, April 8th, 2023 at 9 a.m. And we're going to have a plethora of professional and family caregiver speakers that come and share their story, their products, and their services. We have some experts. We got dementia experts coming on. We have just different people coming on, mental health, dementia, Alzheimer, then an array of other speakers. So this is
Nice.
where you want to be on April 8th. And Elizabeth, as you know, you shared on it last year, so you can understand what happened and how it came through. And we
Yes, yes, I
definitely
would
want the
thank you
people.
for including me in the last one that happened there. And do you, I mean, is that something that if people wanted to go back and listen to, like, is there a way that they can access the recordings or and of course they want to be plugged in, I'm sure, to Facebook so they can know how to register for this.
Sure, absolutely. So we're going to start promoting this week. We're going to put out the promo flyers and the Eventbrite. This is a
Okay.
free event via Eventbrite, but you must register in order to get the link to see it, right? It's going to be on Facebook, StreamYard, YouTube, Roku, Amazon, and it's going to stream out to other areas. So
Nice.
you don't know where you're going to be seeing that, okay? But you're definitely going to be seen because this is a global. We want to go global. You know what I'm saying? We want to hit those countries out in the United States and outside of the United States because
Yeah.
caregiving is what? Universal.
Universal, yes. I mean, there's, you know, and I love listening to people outside of the U.S. You know, they have different
Yes,
cultures and customs and way, you know, problem solving ways that they're handling this growing family caregiving issue. You know, as we've got medicines and people living longer. So,
sure.
well, so good. Well, I will definitely link to those things that we can put in there, and then you also have an anthology. I know you mentioned that the summit is called For the Love of Caregiving. Your anthology is also called For the Love of Caregiving. What kinds of things can people expect to get from that?
Sure. So the anthology is going to be called A Caregiver's Expression. It's a
Mm,
Mother's Day and a Father's Day anthology related to you expressing how you feel about your mom and dad as a caregiver. It can be a love
mm.
letter, it can be a poem, it can be your way of your expression to your mom or dad. And so with that, we're looking for those that want to share their, just write it down. Some people might not want to speak. So write it down. Connect with me. You know, I have a website, uh, Sherrell, not Sherrell, www.globalcaregiversnetwork.com. You can also connect with me via email at Sherrell at globalcaregiversnetwork.com, .net, and then call. Listen, let's get back to the basics. Let's talk on the phone. 260-218-3377. You can't miss me. And you can also go on the Facebook pages, Global Caregivers Network and Global Caregiver Speakers. Go check us out. We're doing a lot
Nice.
of things. We're moving
You,
forth. This is what we
you,
need to be doing, collaborating and connecting.
yes. Well, you are doing a lot of things. I want to kind of pivot too into talking a little bit more about the self-care. You say that self-care is selfless. What do you mean by that?
Putting your listen, putting yourself behind and putting the people before you, right? I mean selfless in a way that let's look at it as self-soul. SELSOUL.
Okay.
Self-soul. What is that? That's when you're taking your soul, you're putting your soul into everything that you do for your loved one, for your patient, for whoever you take care of. And
Mm,
it's not selfless, it's self-soul because it comes from the soul, it comes from the heart, what you are doing. And that's why I say that because it is real, taking care of someone else, it's enough to take care of yourself. But when you have to take care of someone else, it really is a self-soul situation, which
nice.
becomes selfless.
There you go. There you go. Well, how do you advise, Sherelle, the caregivers you come in contact with that they need to, you know, maybe they need to kind of do a check-in with their mental health and maybe you're concerned about them burning out. What kind of advice do you give them?
Oh, absolutely. Burnout, baby, call for help. So
Before,
number,
hopefully we catch them way before that, but
yes. And you don't want to burn out from both ends, right? You don't want to get to that burnout or fatigue syndrome. What do we do in this situation? Listen, call for help. You cannot be the only one doing this. If you are the only one doing this, listen, reach out to your community. You have a church, you have resources in the community, you have respite care, you have people that you can call on. Don't feel like you have to do it all by yourself. You are not alone in this. You're only alone because you want to be alone. Hear what I said. You're alone because you want to be alone. There is help in the community. And let me just put a plug right here, because a lot of people feel that if they don't do it, then it cannot be done. That is farthest from the truth. Just because I don't take care of mom the way you do does not mean that mom is not going to be taken care of. Am I right? Our common denominator is to make sure that mom is comfortable, she's clean, she's eating, we're taking care of her business, and everyone have a right way to do it and their way that they do it. Don't get so caught up on your way. Because you
yeah,
know what?
sometimes there's more than one right way to do something, right?
There's definitely more than one way to do it. Just like in nursing, you have all kind of nurses that come in. My way is my way. I can teach you how to do it my way, but in the end, you're going to do it your way. So it's okay to let someone do it the way that they want to do it. Let us not be so gun-ho on, listen, I want you to do it like this for mom. I want you to do it like this for dad. No, let's do this thing peacefully, and we can all love on mom and dad. The common denominator is care, caregiving from the heart. Because when we take care of our loved ones and patients, we're doing it from the heart.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's take it easy on the help. You want the help, so let the help come in. Let them come in and help you, right? And you are not in
Yeah.
this alone. You are not in this alone by no means. It's too much help out in the community. What about your neighbor next door? We forget about the neighbors. The neighbor can come and sit for an hour or two while you just run around and just do whatever. Respite care for yourself. Check on everyone. Let everybody in on it. So, and I
I know.
know,
I think people think, oh, they're so busy. They're so busy. Well, they're asking how they can help you. They see, what you're doing, and you don't
sure.
know unless you like let them. And maybe you're robbing them from that privilege of spending time with your loved one. And I used to always think, like, gosh, maybe my care recipient is sick of me. Like maybe they want a little variety in their life. Like,
Exactly. Have we ever even thought about that? Maybe they just want to see another face, right?
see their face, someone who's hasn't heard all the stories and
Yeah.
things like that. So I appreciate that. Well, how do you yourself, Sherrell, like what do you do to practice self-care? I know you talked about getting into the word, but what are some of the other things that you do, like in your day-to-day
Day to
environment?
day. Yes. You know what? Just taking a walk. Just taking a walk through the neighborhood. And you know what? Just listening to nature. We may not be able to listen to it right now, but I still do listen to, we got so much on YouTube, Spotify, all the different musics, the spa music, the ocean waves, the nature, the flute. I love music, right? And music is still what? It still soothes the savage beast. That is such a true saying. To put on music for relaxation, I listen to nature on TV, and I'm telling you, it just calms everything down.
That's a good point. I always think about like getting outside and things like that, but sometimes that's might not be super accessible. And
Sure.
there are amazing music. I know mom used to love to watch videos of animals and nature,
Yes,
just doing their thing. It
absolutely.
is something very calming about it. Well, I appreciate that. Well, let's hear what you've got to say about the lightning round. So this is my book. It's the Just for You Daily Self-Care Journal, and it's got 365 writing prompts in it.
Okay.
And so I picked out a couple for you today. So if money were no object, Sherrell, what would you buy yourself?
Money was no object. I think I just buy me a sauna, a spa room, or just a spa room, just to pamper, right? Walk in, you got your facials, you got your mud pies, you got your avocados, your cucumbers. Listen, head to toe, just a room full of massage. Have my own personal masseuse, right? And definitely would take care of my body from head to toe. We need that. We need that stimulation in our head all the way down to our feet. Do you know the last thing that people tend to have? Touch. People stop touching.
Mm.
And this is the lab. When people stop touching, you have to be, that feeling. You want to be able to feel and touch people. People, I noticed that when they go into the nursing home and assisted living, they stop touching.
Mm.
They stop having that sense of touch. And that makes you feel what? Lonely, isolated. You're not being touched anymore. So this is why that tactile stimulation is so important as you get older. It
I
makes
have
a difference.
noticed even that some of the assisted livings are putting in spas right
I'm
in
telling
their
you,
communities for that
because that,
reason.
yes, that is definitely what they need. It's that stimulation. We all need stimulation. And so to put that in there, that's the best thing they can do for the geriatric community.
I love
Absolutely.
that. Well, so laughter can be a form of medicine too. So is there like a certain movie or a TV show or something that you turn to when you know that you're going to be guaranteed to get a laugh?
Kings of comedy or Adam Sandler.
That like old school Addams Family?
No, the Adam Sandlers. That guy, Adam,
Oh, Adam Sandler, got
you
it.
know the golf for
Oh,
the
does
guy that,
he has his own reality show?
not a reality show. I just go back and look at some of the old ones.
Okay, so
No,
here's
he,
Adam Sandler, the comedian.
yeah, but
Um,
he was doing the water thing, the water boy.
oh yeah.
when
Yes.
he
Any of
when he
his movies are so
That's what I'm
ridiculously, yeah.
saying. Then the kings of comedy, any kind of comedy, stand-up
Kings of
comedy, I like
Comedy.
best.
Yeah.
I like that the
Okay.
best. Stand-up, male or female, not that graunchy, all sexually explicit, but you have some nice, clean comedy out there. And that's what I like to listen to because we all need that belly laugh. For real, I'm talking about a belly laugh.
Yes, I agree. Is Kings of Comedy, is that a show? Is that a YouTube channel? What is that?
You pull it up on YouTube. You got
Okay.
Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer.
Okay.
These are the kings of comedy. And so this is old. It was back in the 70s, I think in the 80s, but these was like the kings of comedy. And I'm
Yeah, Steve
telling you,
Martin, Martin
yeah.
Short, all of that. Like a lot of them started out at probably Chevy Chase on Saturday Night
They
Live.
also,
Oh, well,
yeah, do the Def Comedy Jam too. Just go look at some of them. I'm telling you,
oh
they
yeah.
are wonderful. They are
I'll
wonderful.
have to turn my husband onto this because like so he must have his Instagram feed full of like comedians because like he sits in bed at night, comedians and golden doodles, and he literally just laughs. And I'm like, if he gets really going, I'm like, oh, let me see that, let me see that. And so he shows me or he'll send them around to the family, but it's usually golden doodles and comedians. So I'll have to share that with them.
Yeah.
Um, is okay. Now this is another thing because I do have people tell me still, and I will challenge them all day long on this that they say that they do not have time for self-care. And so this question pertains to that. It says, what's a self-care activity that you do or could do while you're waiting? Like you're waiting for something to happen, your doctor to come in, your car to be cleaned, your whatever. Like what is something you could just do in those moments?
Just sit and meditate. That's it. Relaxation. Relaxation is a form of self-care. Doing nothing is a form of self-care. We get caught up in, I have to be doing, right? We don't take the time to just sit and be quiet and don't do anything.
I love that. I mean, it's
Think
so
about that.
true.
We don't like to be quiet. We got to be doing something. So how about just sitting, meditating, and do nothing?
I think sometimes it can be a mask for not wanting to feel, but those feelings will come up in not unhealthy ways, you know,
Sure.
if we don't kind of address them. So I think that's a good point to just sit. Well, we're going to link to the Global Caregivers Network, your Facebook groups, and you mentioned all the other ways people can stay in touch with you. We'll link to that. Is there anything else you want to add, Sherrell? Any parting words of wisdom?
Absolutely. You know, Rosalind Carter said it best, right? The Rosalind Carter Institute. And Rosalind Carter, I just love her because she is the queen, really, because she instituted caregiving way back in the 80s, right? So she said there's only four kind of people in the world. You can look at it as four kind of people in the world or four types of caregiver. There's either you're gonna need a caregiver, you're gonna be a caregiver, you either a past, present, or future caregiver, in other words.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing you don't want to do is need a caregiver. So with that being said, she said it best. There's only four kind of people in the world.
Yeah,
And
we're all going to be touched by it in some way. And there are things that we can do to mitigate our chances of needing it, needing chronic care or terminal care. I mean, sometimes we can do it all and we still, that happens, but as much as we can to mitigate that, I think is important. So, well, thank you for wrapping that
yes,
up. And thank you so much for just being available to chat today and share, empowering our caregivers who are listening. So they needed it.
yes, absolutely. We all need that help. So reach out. You're not alone. Reach out. And that's my story, Elizabeth, as Les Brown would say, and I'm sticking to it.
I love
Thank you
that.
so much.
Thank you so much.